Hey, CYBL Nation, we are back here with you again for another CYBL Today pod. I have with me here co-host today, Tyrese Katama. How we doing, Ty?
I'm good, man. I'm blessed. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me again. I'm looking forward to talking about what we got on the slate today, man. Oh,
Yeah,
glory to
yeah, man.
God.
Yeah, amen, amen. Yeah, no, glory to God. Big things, big season. This podcast is going to be primarily focused on where we're at now in the mid-season, but also the road that we're on to get to the OCC because, it is OCC season. Big deal, right? And so just really chopping it up on some of the topics we're going to be talking about. We'll be talking about kind of where CYBL teams in the central are at right now in terms of the standings, some key storylines this season that have taken place. We're gonna have hot takes with Ty. That segment's gonna be, and everybody wants to tune into that. It's always a good one. And then we'll talk about kind of the award race as well, and what's a lot to watch for at the end of the season. So that's kind of where we're gonna lead. And so why don't we start off with, let's talk about what's currently happening so far this season. Where do you think, like, in terms of what you see, in terms of where teams are at, in terms of standings, and what you expected coming into this season, has it like kind of lived up to your expectations? Have there been any surprises? What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, man. I think just in terms of overall gameplay, I feel like this season is a little more one of like the more calmer seasons in terms of just competitiveness. Looking at the Legacy division, honestly, like compared to the Destiny, they're a much weaker conference. Just looking
Yeah,
at the records, like
yeah.
obviously the Lions are
Shockingly,
dominating,
to be honest with you.
right? Yeah, it's shocking. Like True North is 2-3, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they're
Yeah.
the 2 seed. They're the two
Yeah.
seed as a 2-3 team, right? That's crazy to me. And then you look
That's
at the
crazy.
Destiny. You look at the Destiny division, and it's like the Flames are
Yeah.
5-0, the Strikers are 3-0, Golden Gates are 3-1. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely crazy.
Three teams that are above 500 versus one team, one singular team that's above
Yeah.
500.
Wow.
And so that's
Wow.
crazy to me. To be fair,
Wow.
though, I feel like a lot of the teams kind of they don't have a necessarily fluke season.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's not all there. Like the
Mm-hmm.
Rams are missing Riem,
Yep.
the Warriors.
Yep.
I didn't even know that Caleb was on the Warriors.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
even know that until I saw him, I think 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's definitely something that always comes into play. It's just like availability of players, especially when
Mm-hmm.
it's like your best players, your top players. And so
Yeah.
when I look
Yeah.
at the Warriors and I look at the Rams, they're a team where it's like, well, they shouldn't be this low in the standings. And if they
Mm-hmm.
are this low in the standings, they should at least be close.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and the Angels too, man. The Angels,
The
they were
Angel.
always a team that they never had like insane star
Mm-hmm.
power, but they were so deep and they had
Mm-hmm.
such great chemistry and they played well, like a well-oiled
Yeah.
machine, that they were always a great team. But I'm not too sure what's happening this season.
I
But
don't know, man.
either way, man, it's still there's still time. There's
There's still
still
time.
games. There's
Still
still
time.
games, and another thing that really like hurts is True North. Like True North
That's
was
a
my
big
pick
one
last
for them.
season
It's a
to
big
go to
one.
the finals, right?
Big
And the
one.
season before that, they made it to the
Mm-hmm.
finals. And
Mm-hmm.
now they're the 2 seed, but are they the 2 seed because they're 2 seed worthy or because the conference is struggling a little bit? That's the question that
Mm,
you kind of have to ask. I think their offense primarily and their defense is really what took a hit, but more so their offense, right? They've always
mm-hmm.
been a pretty good defensive team.
Yeah.
However, I was told like my players in the scouting report, they were a transition team. That was where they got their
Mm,
offense from. They never
mm-hmm.
relied too much on half court, and that transition came from their steals. That transition came from Ethan Nate grabbing rebounds and just break
Yeah.
starting. So I
Yeah.
think not having Ethan Nate really just took a hit in the offense
Yeah.
because that was literally. I remember Keel's MVP season. He was
Yeah.
dropping like maybe 15 out of, I think he averaged 24. 15 out of the 24
Yeah.
points were just off the transition because
Off
they
the
couldn't stop the
transition.
transition. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Ethan
Yeah.
Nate grabbing the board, being quick with it and passing it. And
Yeah.
defense couldn't set up. So I think that's probably the main reason as to why True North is struggling right now. I think they just need to find that offensive flow to really get back into it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as for Destiny, the Flames, man, the Flames have been looking good. The Flames are
Whew.
like, trying to look for like an NBA reference, but they're always that team that's great,
Yeah.
but like the playoff success, that's the thing that really like last season it was really heartbreaking, man. Like they were
So
an
heartbreaking.
amazing offensive team, and so to see them get bounced on the first night was crazy to me. And I'm still not counting them out. Like they're still
Yeah.
up there for me, and they're dominating. They have phenomenal offense. They have pretty good defense. They're a great rebounding team. They're complete strikers. They have a great chemistry. That's another team. Strikers are like the Destinies or the Destiny version of the Angels. They have great chemistry. Their guys are always hyped. They have a great relationship with their coach. And those guys have been playing together for some time. So they're up there too. Golden Gates. They're the last 2 seasons. They've been that team that's like a little bit of like a dark horse. Like they may not be at the top of the standings, but you always know. Like you got Nathan Lanning and Aiden Vang there. And what we saw last season in the playoffs, like we can't count them out. You know what I'm saying? They can make it to the finals.
They could make it to the finals, yeah.
Yeah, and the Knights. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, finish up. So,
no, I was gonna say, it's pretty interesting with the Golden Gates because I feel like they almost kickstart later in the season.
yeah.
I feel like that's what I've noticed from them is they almost like pick it up as the season goes on. It's they may start off kind of slower, but then by the end of the season they're like playoff ready. Some teams is kind of done in reverse, so it can kind of be a blessing in disguise sometimes when you see things like that. So,
for sure.
You can go on with the Knights now, though, if you want.
I definitely agree with the Golden Gates. I'll just finish up on that before I get on the Knights. But I 100% see what you're saying. Yeah, they had their offense picked it up significantly come postseason. They were actually the best offensive team postseason. I was looking at like the final scores and just calculating like points allowed and points scored and whatnot. And they actually got significantly better. Obviously, they met the dominant Lions, but it's like you could have argued if they met anybody else in the finals, they could have won that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it was a great story and it was fun. It was fun basketball to watch. It was fun. I really enjoyed it, especially watching Aiden Vang's like eruption in the playoffs. That was amazing to watch.
Wow, impressive, man. Impressive, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was great, man. But and then moving on to the Knights. I don't know. Maybe I have some bias with the Knights just because that's where I was at last season.
Of course.
Pop in, but I feel a little not disappointed, but I feel like they're a better team.
I agree. I actually very much agree with you.
I think that Hudson has the potential to be like the top 3-4 player in the league. I think Max was like, I coached Max when he first came, right? I was a big believer in Max. I remember, like when I was like, I gotta draft him. I'm a big believer. I need him on the team, right? And he's a great player. Like Max has smart decisions when it comes to shot creation. I think he's a better playmaker than his brother, and he has a lot of effort. Last week or the week before, when they played the Golden Gates, the first half he was cold, right? He was cold the first half, and then the second half he picked it up and he finished with 12. So that was crazy to see, and it's like, my goodness, like that's the potential. Like, and they were down by like 17 going into halftime, and they came back. They cut the lead to 6, and this is while Hudson's having impressed. It was crazy. They played well, and they had guys who brought in and played great defense. I want to shout out DeAndre. DeAndre was a great hustler. He had great hands. And even like William Mayo clutch threes, and Michael is a great player. Michael looks good. He is. I think that they're definitely better than what the record leads on, to be honest, man. And I think they just need to find that identity. Like their defense is good. I think their offense is really what is,
what's crazy? This might be a hot take, but like I feel like if you stuck the Knights right now in the Legacy division, they would be the 2nd seed right now.
Yeah, that's not ridiculous to say.
Because to be honest, this is the weakest Legacy division I've ever seen. I think ever. And you look at a team like the Knights and what they have to go up against in the Destiny division, and it's like it's pretty significant, especially for a team that's kind of like newly established. Like a lot of those players are just coming together. It's more of a rebuild team than anything else. So it's going to take some time. But you know what? I do think though they can get a chance to gel. I think Hudson had a really off game last game too.
Hmm.
That was big. I don't know if you're gonna hit on that, but I thought
Yeah,
that
I
that
was
was
about to. Yeah, I was about to get into that in a minute.
yeah. Well, we can
Uh,
kind of springboard there if you want.
yeah, no, let's go there, man. I think I can give more in depth because I got to coach that game because
Yeah,
Sarah
you
was
did.
sick. Sarah, I hope you're feeling better if you watch this. Uh, yeah, man. So it started off like the defense, and the
Mm-hmm.
Golden Gates, like they came in and they decided they wanted to sit in a zone or a box and one, depending
Yeah.
on the situation. So
Mm-hmm.
Hudson went in there, right? And I can tell you based on like his experiences outside of CYBL, because I've coached Hudson as well, like with
Yeah,
Maria when I was assistant with Maria time ago. So,
I remember
I
that.
know he has fair basketball knowledge, but I couldn't tell you if he has like extensive experience against like a
Mm.
box and one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they came in there guns blazing and they decided to sit in that box and one. And from there, you could kind of see it was a little uncomfortable for him just because,
Mm-hmm.
like, obviously you have, like, he's the best player on the Knights, right?
Yeah.
Depending on
Yeah.
who you
Yeah.
ask, most people will tell you that,
Yeah.
right?
I would
And so
agree.
when
I agree with
teams,
that.
yeah. And so when teams, like, play against him, it's like, yeah, the focus is him, but no other team this season has ran a box and one against him other
Mm.
than the Golden Gates, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so for him, that's probably something that's like, what's happening? Like I'm
Yeah.
not being triple teamed, but it's like I have a man on me, and if I go here, another man's like sagging off, almost in like a modified
Yeah.
zone, right? Man
Yeah.
zone
Yeah. Yeah.
hybrid,
Yeah.
and I think that's really what ultimately just ruined it for him because he can
Mm.
shoot the ball, but he also
Yeah.
drives to the
He
basket, right?
drives. Yeah.
And his drives were just taken away
Yeah.
because of that box and one, and because of that 2-3 zone that the Golden Gates ran.
Yeah.
And I just had to remind him several times. I was like, Hudson, like these shots, like these aren't good quality shots because of the zone that's happening. We have to more
Mm-hmm.
so run an offense. Like, don't get me wrong, I love when your ISO plays happen, but we can't ISO into a zone.
No.
It's almost
No.
impossible to beat a zone by ISOing
I
into a zone unless
I
you're
get it.
like,
Yeah.
you know? And so I was like, we got to swing the rock and, penetrate the zone, and that's how we'll beat it, and you'll get your
Mm-hmm.
shots.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was just difficult for him to really get that kind of concept going as to,
Mm.
because he's a very ISO heavy player, and that's not
Yeah.
entirely a bad thing.
Yeah.
However, in a zone that can make or break, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I did make the adjustment, and I did
Yeah.
want him to play more off ball.
Yeah.
I'd say overall it worked a little better because we had
I
more
did
ball
see that.
movement around. And it wasn't like to discredit or anything or take away from him because I
Oh
know
yeah.
he's
Of
a
course
phenomenal
not.
player.
Of course
But
not.
it's just with everything, with the time and whatnot, it's like I called a couple timeouts and I explained the zone offense, and it becomes a difficult concept for guys to understand because it's like you need repetitive practice, right? For
Yeah.
the high-low offense and whatnot, especially if you've never ran the
Yeah.
high-low offense.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But I think for him and his play style, zones are really tricky. Whereas,
Mm.
I brought Max in to start the second half, I believe, and the ball was moved around more, and he was
Mm-hmm.
able to penetrate the zone more, and the
Yeah.
transition was also a little better. And you saw a lot of his shots were like
Mm-hmm.
little midi fades, turnarounds, and they were good. And that was another thing I
Yeah.
said: if we can't beat the zone in the half court set, then let's go for the transition.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so with that transition, it's not just dribbling it down. It's also just passing it ahead, passing
Mm-hmm.
it ahead. Like I remember a drill that we used to do when I was younger. It was like an outlet drill, and you'd like line up, like you'd have like 3 or 4 lines. You'd have a line
Yeah.
at the half court line, a line at like the block where the one basket is, and then a line all the way at like the opposite side. And you'd
Mm-hmm.
pass the ball, and you'd run, and then the line would pass it back to you, and you'd run, and then the line would, and you just go until you get a layup and back.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like I can't remember what it's called, but it was like that was to teach you like
Yeah.
transition and like break starting. The ball moves faster
Mm-hmm.
when you pass it versus
Yeah.
sprinting it.
Yeah.
But I
Exactly.
think I think he'll be good. I want to
Mm-hmm.
see a game where both brothers go off. You
Yep.
know, that I think would be like
Yeah.
the most optimal thing for the Knights because if you can have where both brothers are consistent, they
Mm.
100% can be, like you said, if they were in
Oh
the
yeah.
legacy division, they could be a 2 seed. They could be
Yeah.
fighting for
Yeah.
2 seed. Like they're a great team. It's just this season so far that both brothers have not been phenomenal
No.
at the same
And
time.
yeah. Yeah.
And I think the key adjustment is moving Max to the point guard and letting
Mm.
Hudson play more off ball because I think it's also tiring too, right? To do all that
Yeah,
isoing and you're bringing the ball up and you're running the point guard. But if you have someone else who can bring the ball up, someone
yeah,
else who can lighten the load, and then all you have to do is get to your spots, I think that
yeah, yeah,
becomes
yeah.
easier,
I
you know?
agree. I agree. No,
Yeah,
that's
so
good.
I think
That's good, man.
they'll be fine, man.
Yeah.
And as for the Eagles, I think the Eagles they're one of them, they're a trickier team as well, just
Mm-hmm.
because they're kind of going through a rebuild compared to
Also, yeah.
last season,
Yeah.
and so it can be there's a lot of guys there who were on different teams and who haven't
Yeah.
played together before.
It's
And
so
I
true.
think that it's unfortunate because I feel like last season was definitely the season for them to do some damage. Like
That
they had a
was the
very
season
complete
for
team,
that. Man, their
you
team was
know?
so deep.
Yeah, like their team was
I can't
incredible.
remember who they lost to again in the first round. Can't remember who that
I
was,
think it
but
was the Strikers. I think it was the Strikers.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was the Strikers because I picked the Strikers to beat them. I remember it was the Strikers. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I just said the Strikers defense, and their defense ultimately is what made the
Yeah.
Eagles lose and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah,
And they
yeah.
also had they played a lot of individual basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so it wasn't really like team oriented.
Yeah,
But
that was
it's
a disappointing season for the Eagles just because like
yeah, yeah,
I felt like if there was any like I had them going all the way. Like
hmm
that is
hmm
like I had them actually going to the finals because of the way that I saw this team gel. But I think in some teams under pressure they come together. Some teams under pressure they isolate.
yeah, yeah,
And I
hmm
think that's what happened here for the Eagles in last
yeah,
season's performance and matchup.
yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it's interesting. This season though, this season is interesting for them. You're
Yeah.
right. And I feel like when I look at the Eagles this season, I look at a team that like well, it looked like they were finally the last game that they had there. It looked like they were finally
Hmm
starting to get some momentum together, and starting to figure out kind of how to utilize each other, on the court. So it's not over for them. Like they're
No.
still, if they could win the next two games, like they're right there in the mix of things. They could grab a wild card spot too, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It's not
yeah,
over yet.
yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with what you said. I was gonna touch on that if you didn't, but yeah, like last game, it was crazy. I'm trying to remember who they played last game. I think it was the.
I could pull it up for
I
you
think
right
it,
now.
yeah. Let me
They
pull that up. It was the
played the
Strikers.
Strikers and Strikers,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, and they were down like significantly more,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but they started to really pick it up and they were looking good. And, guys were hitting threes and guys were playing well, and that's
Yeah.
something that you always want to see is players find their identity more
Mm-hmm.
than anything. I think that with the situation having the wild card, it's like you're not done because you're
Yeah.
0 and 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
season's not done. Now you focus on getting together, developing chemistry,
Mm-hmm.
figuring out what it
Mm-hmm.
is that the team may be struggling with, working on that, and ultimately just fighting for the wild card.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's still a chance and you can still like we've yet to see like a wild card team like
Yeah.
go all the way and win everything,
I know.
if I'm not mistaken. And that would be amazing to see.
That'd
So
be
for these
crazy.
guys who are right, it'd be insane. Imagine you make the wild card, especially this season. You make the wild card,
Yeah.
you win the championship, you go to the OCC, you win the
Mm-hmm.
OCC, all off a wild card.
Goodness,
That's
bro.
insane, man.
That's crazy.
That's insane. Like seeing something like that would be mind boggling. Oh my goodness.
It'd
And
be,
it's like you gotta look at that team and be like they really like wiggled their way into the playoffs and then just
yeah.
won it all. Like
Yeah,
literally
yeah,
everything.
yeah. Yeah.
So it's definitely
Yeah.
interesting to see for
Oh,
sure, man.
crazy, bro. Yeah. So we're gonna move here, just into talking about what we think in terms of as we are getting closer to the playoffs now. We're getting closer to the playoffs. We're looking at the playoff picture starting to form. Since we're already talking about wild card, it just makes sense to go right into it. But would you say, like, I don't know, like, I think there's obviously like there's one team on everybody's radar that I think is it has almost like a lock to make a deep playoff run, and in my mind that's the
hmm
Lions. But outside of that, I feel like everything else is wide open. So I want to
hmm
hear what your take is on the playoff picture and kind of like where you see things are now that we're mid-season.
Yeah, I think for the midseason the most difficult part I think is kind of just like the amount of games played. It's kind of
Yeah.
hard to gauge because like the strikers and the Knights have played less games than literally
Yeah.
everybody else in the league,
That's true.
right?
That's true.
However, that still doesn't mean that there's no eye test. I've seen the eye test. I've seen most of these teams play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've watched everybody play at least a couple times. And so I think for me, the Strikers and the Flames, like they're great teams. And I think they're more complete teams in terms of like just everything, right? Like everybody's played together for a long time.
Yeah.
Everybody has a great relationship with their coach. Everybody understands what it is their teammates are good at, and they have a great culture. And I think also another thing for the Strikers in particular, having like Braden be like an assistant coach, I think that's a great thing. It's cool to see like
Yeah.
the guy who was your best player, who was the locker room leader per
Oh yeah.
se. We don't really have locker rooms, but you know what I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? He's still involved with the team, and you can see like he's very animated when he's involved, which is great.
Yeah.
Right? Shows that he cares and he has that drive and that hunger. And so him being that coach with them, I think is another thing that really just like bumps them up. And you see he has a great bond with the players on the team, and he keeps a great relationship. Because sometimes you have players who retire and they're done.
Yeah.
Like they don't come back to CYBL, nothing. You don't see him anything, right? So it's really great to see this. The Flames, again, the Flames are always a great team. And Ryder Tatum is
Offensively,
a great player. Yeah, they're too much offensively, man. It's crazy.
man, it's
Like
crazy.
I don't know how it's been 3-4 seasons of just Flames being phenomenal, and it
And
doesn't
Ryder
matter.
Tatum is taking off.
Yeah, Ryder's taking off. I was just about to say, like, it doesn't matter who's at the helm. It was Nathan. Nathan's gone. Cool. Ryder's here now, right? So
Yeah.
it's crazy. And I think
That's
it's
crazy.
even crazier how quickly he picked it up, right? Like, he was the second option behind Nathan. And literally, as soon as Nathan left, I don't know if you could say, I'll keep that for hot takes. Yeah, but no, the Flames look great. They're a very great team. The Strikers look phenomenal. Golden Gates, again, like, I can never count out the Golden Gates because it seems like they have that, oh yeah, wherever we're at, we're fine. We're still going to compete, I don't think I can remember since, like, because there was a year or so where I was off from CYBL, but since I've been at CYBL, I don't think a Coach Allen-led team has had, like, a very underwhelming playoff performance, Like, they've always made it.
You're right. Because they had the one season. They had one season where they lost their first 3 games, but then they literally won 3 straight in a row after that.
Yeah.
So you're right.
Man. So it's like, you can't count that out. And I think he has a very positive winning record come playoffs. I think he might be like right behind Valerie, if I'm not mistaken, in terms of just success. I haven't paid too much attention to that. But he's got the accolades. He knows what he's doing. The pressure doesn't get to him in those situations because he's been there before. Yeah, I think the Destiny division is definitely a little more trickier for you guys. It's a lot more closer. Especially, I think the Flames have clinched the 1 seed. I think we can agree on that. They've clinched the 1 seed for sure.
They're 5-0.
But but between the Strikers and the Golden Gates, that's something I look at, and if we put them on paper, who's the better team? And I feel like the Strikers, all around, the Strikers are more deep, but Golden Gates, like, they have more star power.
Yeah.
And it always comes down to it for me. Like, I'm a big believer in depth.
Yeah.
I've always been a big believer in depth. I feel like if you have a bunch of guys who are like a tier below the star player, but they all buy into that vision and work hard, they can surpass a team that's loaded with like 3-star players. However, like, it's playoff Nathan, man. I can't.
Playoff Nate, man.
I can't go against playoff Nate. I don't know. He maybe just doesn't really. Like, he's just, the regular season's just for him to chill and whatnot. Cause like, if we're a 500 team, it's cool. We got the wild card, or we the 4 seed or whatever, it's fine. But come playoff time, he's locked. We got to see that game winner earlier this season. That game winner.
Yeah, that was crazy, man.
That was crazy. That was crazy. I remember I tuned in late. And I was like, oh, let me catch this last game real quick.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think it was against the Angels, was it not?
Yeah, it was
Yeah, and
heartbreaker, man.
there's like some rivalry there because like Flames, Angels, and when Nathan was there, it's like
That's a
I
hardcore rivalry, bro.
it's a crazy rivalry. It's just Nathan versus the Angels. No matter where he is, it's Nathan versus the Angels. But that game winner was insane, and just
Mm-hmm.
like a glimpse into the playoffs. Remember that crazy game winner?
Goodness, yeah,
It might have been like a year or two ago.
yeah,
I
yeah,
can't I
yeah.
can't remember who it
It's
was
like two
against.
years
Was that
ago.
Timothy? Was
Yeah,
that Timothy? I think it was against the
it's against the
Warriors,
Angels.
maybe.
I think
Was it
it's.
the Angels?
I think it was the game winner that was like
Not Kyson's game winner, but Nathan. I remember we were
Nathan's
reffing.
game.
You and me were reffing,
We were acting
and he
that
had
game.
the ball, and
Yeah,
he just pulled it up from three, and it was cash, and it was like a straight
yeah.
buzzer beat
Yeah,
for
it's the
game.
Warriors. It was the Warriors.
It
Yeah,
was the
it was the Warriors.
Warriors,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
remember because I think it was Dante was on that
Dante.
team.
Yeah, Dante.
Yeah,
He almost
and
and
I was
Dante
like,
almost hit the buzzer beater at the end because
yeah,
remember there was
to
like one
save it.
second left. He threw
Yeah,
it
and
from
he
half
like,
court and it almost went in, bro. That was crazy.
yeah. But that was an
Yeah.
insane game buzzer beater. And I think you know what I
Insane.
think unlocked like playoff Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I can't. I think it was they might have played against True North.
Mm.
A few seasons prior when Ashton was still on the Flames,
Okay. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it might have been
Yes.
True North or
Was
yeah, I
this
think I'm almost certain it was
strikers?
True North,
Was this strikers?
not the Strikers. No, no,
Not
no,
that
no,
one. Okay.
no.
Before
Flames,
before that
Flames.
era. Okay.
It could have been Strikers. I honestly, that doesn't matter. But I remember they lost,
Yeah.
and I remember
Oh
Ashton
yes,
and
it was
Nate
against us. Yeah.
were like, yeah, it was against you guys, right? I
Yeah.
remember. I think I was ref in that game. I don't know, my memory's a little foggy. I'm older now, but no. And I remember they were heartbroken.
Mm-hmm.
Like they fell on the court and they were heartbroken. I think Ashton cried at some point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
Nathan was like flustered, and it just showed that they cared.
Yeah.
And since
Yeah.
that moment, Nathan like just picked it up and
He
he just
picked it
became a
up.
playoff
Playoff
riser.
Nate was
You know?
born.
Yeah, yeah.
Playoff Nate was
So
born.
I can't count out playoff Nate, man. I can't count out
Oh,
playoff Nate. He's too good of a player, and apparently now Aiden Vang's a playoff riser. So you gotta watch out for that as well, man.
we do, man. No, I think
And
yeah,
watch
Golden
out for
Gates
that as well.
is a team to watch come playoff time
Hmm.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. Now we have, just so you know, the preface on the podcast. We did lose a bit of time on the pod, so we have a total of about like I'd say 15 minutes or so. So we'll move down the segment here, and we'll go kind of right into our OCC here. So as you know, obviously we're on the road to the OCC now, right? And things are gonna take shape. And I guess for you, quick question, but what do you think it takes to be an OCC team? What do you
Yeah,
think
man.
it's gonna take?
Yeah, honestly, first and foremost, seeding is important, but I don't think you need to be a top seed. I think we changed it right now. It's
Yeah,
top three
yeah,
seeds go to
yeah,
OCC.
yeah, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, so I think the first OCC the Warriors won. I know I was off that season, but if I'm not mistaken, I think they lost in the finals,
They
right?
lost in
Or
the
something like
finals.
that. They
Yeah,
lost, right? Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm
To
not too
strikers.
sure. Yeah, to the Strikers. I remember the Strikers won that season. I remember Riley
Yeah,
was telling me that they lost in the finals.
yeah.
But so they lost the finals. They still went to the OCC and they won the OCC. Now, whether you value the OCC more than you value the finals, it's just dependent on who you ask as well as
Yeah.
the skill gap. I think at the time the skill gap was drastically more skewed. But, looking at CYBL Kingston, some of them players are crazy, man. So I'm looking forward to seeing some games
Oh
this
yeah.
OCC.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no. In terms of just what you need, you gotta be a great team. You gotta have chemistry. That's first and foremost. You gotta have chemistry. You gotta be humble, and you guys gotta work hard, man. That's really what it comes down to. I believe you could have a wild card go to the OCC if they have a season where they work hard. Genuinely, I believe that's something that they could do. And I think you gotta shoot over. You shoot over to dominate the OCC, so that if you don't dominate the OCC and you fall, your floor is winning the championship in your respective conference. And I say this
It's
to
good.
I say this to Barry and I say this to Kingston, right? Shoot
Yeah.
for the champion or the OCC, and then your floor is the championship. That way, But you guys just gotta be hungry. You gotta be
Yeah.
hungry. You gotta
Yeah.
be, and I think that comes down to it as well as coaching. I think
Mm-hmm.
coaching plays a big part in it as well, because just the energy from your coach, that can really rub off on players. If your coach is, scared, not scared, but anxious or a little nervous, that
Yeah.
may rub off on the players. They may miss a timeout, they may miss an adjustment,
Mm-hmm.
so coaching matters too. And it's important that the coaches stay poised and just make sure that their players stay poised as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. And I'm thinking like going into even like I think it's all like you said, it's all preparation, it's all mindset before you even
Mm-hmm.
get to the postseason. If you
Mm-hmm.
if your mindset before you get to the postseason is right and your morale is right, then I think that you have a chance to go deep because man, morale plays a huge role on the teams, man. Like, you could see a team with a ton of talent, but then like I don't know, a few things happen, that like kind of everybody gets down about, and it's like that's it. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
you could get knocked out in the first round. You know what I mean? And so it's going to be really interesting. And I think even if to make the OCC, like that your morale has to stay consistent because think about it now. If you lose in the semis of the playoffs, you still have a chance. So it's like
Yeah.
you have to keep your mind right. You
Mm-hmm.
can't go places
Yeah.
like you used to when you're in a third place game and say, "Oh man, don't matter." No, but it matters. But it still
Mm-hmm.
matters,
It
you know.
matters. It still matters. Yeah.
So it's gonna be something, bro. But is there any team that
100%.
you think could be a surprise to make a deep run? Out of the teams that from what you've watched so far this
Mm-hmm.
season, is there a team you would say that could surprise everybody with a deep run in the playoffs and then to the OCC?
So when I look at that, I think one of the more important things in the asterisk is availability. Like obviously when I'm looking at these deeper run teams, I want to look at teams who have a lower seed. So
Yeah.
in the Destiny division, let's just say the Knights and the Eagles, and in the
Mm-hmm.
Legacy division, let's say the Rams, the Warriors, and the Angels, right? Because
Yeah.
And so first for me, first it has to be the Angels. They're
Mm.
the most complete team out of those lower tier teams,
Yeah.
right?
I agree.
I think they have the longest tenure together out of any team in
Wow.
CYBL, maybe other
Wow.
than
True North.
the True North. The difficult part about True North is like now it's more players. Like you have like three, four
Mm.
players, whereas
Mm-hmm.
the Angels you have like a whole starting lineup with guys who have played. And
Yeah.
they've lost some
Yeah.
guys with it. So it's like True
Yeah.
North, Angels, and the Flames have a lot of guys who've played together for some
Mm-hmm.
time. But I'd say the Angels are the most complete. Now, I don't know what it is. I couldn't tell you. But for some reason, in these clutch situations, the Angels just do not execute. It doesn't matter what it is.
I don't
They
know what
just
it
do
is.
not execute. They will have it in the bag, and they will just, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I couldn't tell you what it is. It's
Uh,
crazy to see.
I think we're all
And
thinking the same thing, man.
yeah. And, for that kind of just tells me, like, I can't, out of respect for them, I can't confidently say that I believe they'll have a deep run because they seem to sometimes, kind of choke
Mm-hmm.
a bit. And not to say like it's overly bad
Mm-hmm.
choking, but they're just not a playoff
Yeah.
team, is what I'm saying. Like they're not a playoff riser. And I
Yeah.
think they could definitely switch it up this
Yeah.
season. But it comes down to the
Yeah.
Rams for me or the Knights, I think, for a deep run.
Mm.
Because the
Okay.
biggest thing for the Rams is just
Yeah.
Riem being there. You get Riem, you get Cody, they're a
Yeah.
different team.
I know.
It's just
It's a
that simple,
whole
right?
different team. It's a whole different team. Like that's a whole different.
Hmm.
That team looks totally right now. If the Rams had Riem there,
Hmm.
which he'll be back. I did get
Hmm.
news that he will be back and he's going to be there for the rest of the season. But if they had Riem to this point, there's no way they're fighting for a wild card spot.
Yeah,
There's no way.
100% they're not. I agree with
And
that.
and because like first of all, Riem is like so dominant. Like you could,
Yeah.
this could be debatable, but on that championship Lions team, you could argue that he was either the one or the two, depending on the day on that team, on that Lions championship team. And so, with that being said, like he is that good that he can impact any team into winning basketball, just because of his dominance, his straight up dominance in terms of rebounding, in terms of his defense, in terms of how he gets to the basket at ease. I don't know a player that can stop him yet. I don't know a player that can
I
stop him.
couldn't tell you, man. No player, no defense has yet to stop him. It's really just himself. Like, you just gotta hope he has a bad game. That's all it comes down to. And it's crazy. He's played one game, and he dropped 14-10 and had 3 steals. You know?
Yeah.
So I think that's like, that's a crazy game.
It's a crazy game, bro.
They won that game.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen him since, but he still is a player, and he's got experience come playoffs. So even if they make it as the wild card, he just won a championship. He knows what it takes. I'd say the Rams are up there for me in terms of deep playoff runs.
Yeah,
and it all comes down to matchup too.
Yeah.
You never know these days with matchups and whatnot.
You never know these days. You never know, bro. Well, you know what I want to throw you into, and you can probably take some of those questions and throw it into this, whatever you feel like. But guys, you know what time it is. It is time for...
Now it's time for Hot Takes with Ty.
Hot Takes with Ty. The floor is yours, bro.
Yeah, let's start it off. I think, I've been kind of skewing a little off from where I wanted to be. First of all, I just want to talk about the Flames really quickly, and I actually want to talk about the all-time Flames. And I think this is it's kind of a hot take. I do think all-time as a Flames player, Ryder Tatum is better than Nathan Lanning, and that's something I alluded to. I alluded to that when we were talking about the Flames earlier, and I was like, well, I'll save this for hot takes. I'm glad we were able to get this segment in. But yeah, I think Ryder Tatum is a better player than Nathan Lanning all time.
Wow.
Obviously, Nathan has. He also has more seasons that he's played. Yeah, 2. Sure. He has 2. However, it took him a long time to get those 2 after multiple, not meltdowns, but multiple losses in the playoffs. Where I look at him and I say they
disappointments.
Right? Yeah. And not only that, it took him time to be as dominant as he was. And even when he was at his peak, you had guys who came in and they were still looking good. You had Zach and you had Aiden Stockton, right? And maybe that's just like a little tint on his legacy because it, removed the MVPs that he could have won and whatnot.
Yeah.
However, Ryder came in there last season, surpassed Nate, had way better stats than Nate, was a much more complete player than Nate. Nate's a great offensive player. He's a pretty good defensive player. But Ryder is just a great offensive player and a great defensive player. He's a two-way player who gets it done on both ends, and he can do it all. He can block, he can steal, he can dribble. If he has to shoot, he can shoot, but he knows that he's big enough to get to the basket, so he's not chucking up shots.
No.
And so I think that he is definitely a better player overall than Nathan Lanning.
Nathan Lanning
may have
hot take.
And if they win the championship and he wins Finals MVP, it's not even close. I don't think it'll be close. For me. Don't get me wrong, I still love you, Nate. But
is there anything to be said before I continue? Is there anything to be said about what Nathan did in the playoffs to Ryder Tatum? Yeah. Is there anything to be said?
That's a great question. I think I give credit to Nathan for that game. And it wasn't... Ryder did have a very bad game that game. However, it wasn't just him. It was the Flames who had a bad offensive game. And their defense, I think I mentioned this at some point, whether it was to myself or something, but their defense was really bad.
Yeah.
They had great offense, but their defense was horrible. So if their offense is not cooking anything, they're food, right? On defense, they're food on defense. So it's like if their offense is bad, it becomes easier to beat them. And they just had a very bad game offensively. They were missing easy layups. They couldn't hit threes. None of that. And so it was easier for the Golden Gates to win. And obviously Aiden Vang again stepped it up too. I do want to see another head-to-head matchup though. For sure. I want to see another head-to-head matchup in the playoffs to really solidify this. But again, like I said,
Because like
Ryder
he had his
brings it.
number, bro, and I think
Yeah,
like at the end of the day, you know what I mean. Like yes, we could say we can look at the statistics and we could say that, but I think what's gonna matter more is the way that they play against each other
yeah, of
at the
course,
end
of
of the
course,
day.
and of course, I do see that. I think they may have had 3 matchups, 2 or 3 matchups now, if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
mistaken. I know they
Mm-hmm.
met in the regular season last season and the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't
Have
remember
they
if
met
they've
yet this
met this
season?
season yet. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. I have to pull that up somewhere.
Yeah.
But I do know in the regular season, last season,
Mm-hmm.
Ryder had a good game. And then come playoffs,
Mm.
Nathan had a good game. And obviously,
Yeah.
Nathan is a playoff riser. So it's like what we
Yeah.
expect. However, and yeah, you hold more value to a playoff. But in terms of just head to head matchup, they are 1-1. You know,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
assuming
Okay.
that they haven't met this season. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure they haven't, but I could be wrong.
I think
Regardless,
you're
I
right.
do
I don't
want
think
to.
they've met yet.
Yeah, yeah. And I do want to see them meet this season, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's the final game of the season or it is the playoffs. I want to see them meet again. I'm leaning towards Ryder to have a better
Oh, you
game.
know what though? They did meet, bro. They met earlier
Did
this
they?
season. The Flames won. It
The
was
Flames
40,
won, eh?
45-38 was the score.
Right,
Lakers.
right, right. Okay, so
Yeah,
they did meet.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. So yeah, Ryder's 2-1. You can give
Mm-hmm.
Nathan more of a. You can count his playoff win as 2 since it's the playoffs.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like
yeah,
2-2. But I really just a playoff matchup with no type of uh disruptions, just one-on-one hoops,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
team versus team, So
Yeah.
we're just
And
gonna
it's
have
just
to wait and
crazy,
see,
bro.
man. But
Crazy.
yeah, moving on. Sorry, I got a little carried away.
All good, all
Um,
good.
I wasn't a
I'm
big
gonna give
believer
you.
in the Lions.
We're gonna give you
Pardon me?
about 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes, gotcha. And I wasn't a big believer in the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
I think with Reem leaving, I think my biggest belief was that Reem was the best player on the Lions. And I think the Lions are a great team. However, their conference is a little weak, man. I'm not gonna lie. It's a little weak. And so, yeah, they're 4-0. And it's a convincing 4-0 too, Like they're blowing teams out. It's a convincing
Mm-hmm.
4-0. However, when it comes playoff time, can they hang and can they go up against a team like the Flames or the Strikers when it's like high stakes and get it done is the question.
Yeah, that is the
And
question.
so I'm not too convinced on them winning. And I still don't have them winning. Again, they can prove me wrong. I had this conversation with Frazier and I was like, yeah, man, prove me wrong next season, Prove me wrong. Make me, take back what I said. And, like again, they're proving me wrong in a sense that they're dominating their conference
Yeah.
or their division. However, when it comes playoffs time, I don't think they're going to be the team that raises the Gideon Cup,
Okay,
And
okay.
they might not even make it
You
to
don't
the
think so?
OCC. They might not even make it to the OCC. And that's me being straight up.
That's crazy.
Like, I don't know, man. They might not
But
even
they
make
have to
it to
go
the
through their
OCC.
division to get to the
Yeah.
finals. So you think who would take them out? Who knocked them out?
Honestly, man, when it comes down to it, anything can happen.
That's true. That's true. It's
So
just one game. Just one game. It's true.
like, if you have one game where Frazier has a bad game, whether it's he's not playmaking and setting his brother up, or he's just not hitting shots, and it's like, what happens from there? Because they don't really have a lot of like creators, individual creators. It's more so he's a creator for the whole team and whatnot. But yeah,
Eddie
I don't
creates
know.
for himself under the basket, though. I would say.
He does, but he does under the basket, but just in like the half court,
Yeah,
even just bringing the ball up. Like imagine for whatever reason, Frazier couldn't bring the ball up no more, and he was like getting locked up 94 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have somebody who can bring the ball up? Do they have somebody who can initiate the offense? Do they have somebody who can create shots for themselves and for other people, not just under the basket but at the perimeter? I don't know. That's a question that you'd really have to look into.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I do know, but I don't want to get too much into that because we're out of time. However,
Yeah.
I don't think that I can confidently say I would not be surprised if the Lions don't make it to the OCC. Never mind winning the cup,
Wow.
making it to the OCC.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a hot take. Why is a hot take, my guy? Can you give us
Hot
one
takes,
more
man.
hot take? I will not respond. I'll let the people do the responding.
One more hot take. We're gonna go. Do you want it this season or do you want it like?
Give me all time. Give me all time. All time's good.
Okay. Keel Wilson's MVP season was not a fluke. However, I did not believe he was the MVP that season, nor did I believe he was the best player in the league. And when
Wow.
I voted, he did not get my MVP vote.
Well, hear that here, Keel. You know that means that
Still a great player though. You're still a great player, Keel. Still a great
he's
player.
a great player. For me, he is. I can't not have an MVP. You know what I mean? Coach that
Of
kid for
course.
so many seasons. Great in my books, but we'll let all of you guys tell us what you think. Tell us what you think about the hot takes. Tell us what you think about the whole season, how it's going, who you think is going to make it to the OCC, who you think's poised for a deep run this season. Which is a few things we didn't get to, but that just means we're going to have to do another pod for you guys, as we ran out of time, unfortunately. But what I do want to say is, guys, tune in to every game. If you can't come and watch it in person, tune into these games because the heat's about to ramp up. You know, we got one game coming up this Friday, then we got a week off for March break, and we're gonna be back at it the following week for the next games. But you guys want to make sure you tune in and make sure you're right there with us because it's a great season. It's a great season, man. And with that being said, guys, I want to just remind everybody, you know, CYBL and what we do here, you know, we're about three things: God, basketball, mentorship, and that's the heart of everything that we do. This season, we are talking about being chosen. And so I just want to remind you, if you are watching this video and you have not heard of the gospel or how good God is, I want to let you know that Jesus loves you, that he actually has died and resurrected on the third day for all of our sins so that we can actually have a relationship with him, and he chose us before we chose him. And that's the message that we're sticking with this season. Even in the midst of it all, even in the midst of all the fun performances, all the stats, all the games, that you are chosen beyond the game of basketball to be known and to have purpose and have identity in Christ. So yeah, guys, be blessed. We love you guys, and we will be back soon for another pod because we know there's many things we wanted to cover we didn't get to. So we'll be back real soon. Take care, guys, and God bless.